Good morning, dear colleagues. So I think we can start our session. So I'm very glad to see all the participants in the forum in Moscow and today in our session. Today we're going to talk about international and interregional regimes and preferences, forms, and how they function. So my name is Marat Fatahov. So I would like to thank the organizers and the Republic of Bashkortostan of making this event. So I would like to ask you, my dear participants and speakers, to monitor the time of your speeches. So today we will speak about the preferable forms, how we can cooperate between foreign partners and between our regions. And the main countries are Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. And last year they were the top countries as the priority countries for export. Of course, this transformation of economy that is on the agenda today requires the creation of trade and economic, logistical forms of cooperation, and today we will speak about this. So I'm glad to see the participants and speakers today. Golov Oleg, he is Brantsevich Tatiana, the Deputy of the Ministry of Economics of the Republic of Belarus. Galulin Artur, Deputy Director of the Department of International Cooperation and Licensing in Foreign Trade of the Ministry of Industry and Trade of Russia. Fakhrudinov Ayrat, Domatenko Alexander, the Deputy Director of Amkador Algidel Company. Rykova Inna, unfortunately she will join us in 30 minutes. So head of the Center for Sectoral Economics of the Federal State Budgetary Institution, Financial Research Institute. Kravchenko Evgeny, Deputy Director of the Project and Analytical Activity of the Association of Clusters. Ildus Venerovich, the Deputy of the Ministry of Economical Development of the Republic of Uzbekistan. Denisov Nurlan, he is the Chairman, the Deputy of the International Cooperation and Licensing in Foreign Trade of the Ministry of Industry. Asad Baigarev, the Director of Investment and Marketing Department of Gorgos International Center in Kazakhstan. And Farid Harisovich, the representative of Cherchuk and Chizak Technoparks of the Republic of Uzbekistan. So, dear colleagues, I'm glad to see you today. And first of all, I would like to give the floor to Oleg Yevgenyevich to say hi to our session. He is doing his work for making perfect conditions for interregional cooperation. Dear guests, thank you very much. In the name of the Committee of the Federation, I would like to thank the organizers to make this event. So speaking about the forms of preferences, so the efficiency of these new forms is really good. We have created several economic zones, and for the last 3 years they were created 20 out of 50 economic zones, including Bashkir Alga. And this instrument is quite requirable, and we are thinking we're going to work on this regime. So in nowadays conditions, we have different tasks, and that's why we have different directions for businesses, for governmental work. So the aim of forming these preferences is to reach the sustainable development of the territories. It is important to create the corporate chains between Russian manufacturers and customers, and this chain development goes through in our countries, and it will increase the added value of our economics. And this is a great tool to adopt all these conditions to current situation. We should be flexible in our current situation, so to create more businesses, but not cancel the responsibilities. So it is important for the participants of these cooperations to create liberalization of the products around the world and improve the business climate to attract the investments. So for integration, we're implementing 4 free issues. And Russia this year is interested in enlarging the export in Eurasian Union. And Russia is also interested in to trade with the neighboring countries and with the countries of eastern areas. Well, so the scaling opportunities with these countries is one of the key and sustainable expectations within the EAU countries. So we have today in our country, we have a very required opportunities to attract experts, analytics, and different businesses from different countries. The success of this work depends on the state authorities, scientific institutions, and business unions. And we need to mention that preferable forms have different sectors. For the economy, we have these preferences for Central Russia, but now the new waves are going to the eastern part of the Russia. So on the eastern part of Russia, we have several types of preferable forms and advanced level territory. And so to continue to this, the government is making really serious points to these preferable forms. So there was the round table, and there were discussed about the questions of increasing the investment projects, and there was also the question discussed about not decreasing the new preferable forms. So there was new legal acts for the initiatives to increase the amount of tours and special economic zones, and the main number of regions agreed to do that. And today's discussion on the legal act makers, of the business, of scientific world has a very specific questions to implement the project, and I would like to wish to all the participants of the forum to do official work.
Oleg, thank you. We know we have a very rich program in the forum, so we can let you go because you have some other event you need to attend. Thank you very much for participating. And colleagues, let's continue. When we talk about international cooperation and creating added value chains, in the first place, we would like to mention the experience of Russia and Belarus. We have accumulated, as part of the Union state, we have a lot of experience cooperating, and we're actively developing it right now. Russia is the main supplier to Belarus, almost 67% in monetary equivalent, and we are one of the major investors into the economy of this friendly state. It's equal to about 29% in the total amount of investment. For Russia and for Belarus, also Belarus is an important partner for Russia. 67% of products of Belarus are imported to Russia. Tatiana, a question to you. How are we implementing? What is the status of our transborder projects? What are you expecting? Which industries are the most interesting for Russian investors to invest to Belarus and vice versa? Thank you so much. Probably I will start with numbers. As of now, today, if we go back 2 years, 2 years ago we had very critical challenges to restore economic growth so that the lost markets could be restored and redirect. We worked 24/7. There was a special headquarter in the government. We were just trying to resolve the issues just online, promptly on the call. Shipments, business development, some of the issues related to logistics. We were trying to resolve it for everyone, foreign investment in the Republic of Belarus. We don't differentiate between our own and foreign. Everyone is our kin, and there is a very powerful state sector of economy in Belarus, as you know, and also private. I think it's the ratio, it's 50% to 50%. So it's a single whole. I would like to quote Alexander Lukashenko, the head of the state. Lately, at one of the meetings, he said, "Give me an economy, and I will give you the rest, all the rest." And this slogan, we understand that if we have stable economy, if people receive their salaries in time, it means that we will have peaceful families. There will be no negative impulse, which we were living through several years ago. Okay, in 9 months, the growth of the economy of Belarus was equal to 103%. You know, we followed the advanced tempo of development, but I would like to mention that we have a very low level of inflation, 4.3. Industry is the leader, so their growth was equal to 108%. Construction 110, trade 112.3. This kind of dynamics has become possible for the export-oriented instrument, car building, machine building. We have reoriented, we have redirected our economy. And our export now goes to friendly countries. I would like to say that in short-term perspective, when the special military operation began, we border the state which is at the military actions. We've lost about 36 billion in export sales. And this fine-tuning, I would like to thank our friends from Russia. We held negotiations. We were trying to understand the new markets, to get to know them. And yesterday at the session, We have talked about what is done, but there is a lot to be done. We summed up Russia and Belarus, and there is a prospective market worth of $100 billion. And we faced one problem. We manufacture advanced projects and maybe some gasket or some bolt or some screw. We were looking for it all over the world, but we found a lot of friends by doing so. And this redirection, respecialization allows us to achieve technological safety. We got our pilot plants, we got our institutions. We recalled the times of the World War II when we had to reorient some plants and factories, relocate them from the front line into the Urals for safety. We were inventing new products and implementing them, starting their production. And of course, foreign investments. Nobody left, nobody fled. Now I will give you the numbers. Foreign investments in 9 months are equal to 113%, which means 1 billion surplus. Regarding Russians, yes, Russian investment is equal to 143% in 9 months, 2023. These are the current figures, and I can say quite confidently that we have restored our economy. Now, here's what we are working on right now. We're working on the life of economy and enterprises to make it better, make it more transparent, understandable, to remove all the administrative barriers. I don't want to mention, well, probably I think I can, the new Omsk-Carbon, Mogilев. They are manufacturing carbon materials, crude materials, and fig. STM company I can mention. They are the residents of our economic zones, newly established. Given the very rich competences we have in Belarus, I think what we have managed to do, we preserved the economic competences which we've been for the past 15 years. Regardless of the collapse of the Soviet Union, we've managed to preserve the companies which were established in Soviet times, MAZ, Belaz, truck manufacturers, and they have a very huge portion in the world market. But we faced that some of the components, third-party materials, we just switched. For example, in terms of tires and other suppliers, and we have proven the quality. We have verified, and now we're shipping to a lot of countries of the world. Regarding the preferential modes, here is what it looks like. Of course, free economic zones we have, you have them, we have them. They are more or less similar. We have about 450 residents from more than 30 countries of the world. And let me mention one interesting fact. Initially, the amount of declared investment was equal to 8 billion. Now it's 12.5 billion, which means that investors trust us. They're expanding, advancing their production. They establish new factories and plants. And the main element and condition, requirement to enter the economic zone is to be ready for export. In some of the regions, about 70% of export falls on the companies of free economic zones. We're building an infrastructure, and the government will profit from it. For 1 ruble of investment, which we received 7 or even 8 private investments into the economy of the Republic of Belarus. So the payback of 1 ruble was equal to 7 or 8. What we do now, We are preparing ready-made investment frameworks. In 2022, from the budget, we allocated more than $80 billion into the electricity, roads of free economic zones, water supply, where necessary. So our enterprises who came to Belarus, we fulfilled all the requirements of the businesses in terms of utilities in all our free economic zones. We facilitate the procedure of registration. We are cutting on the paperwork, administration procedures, admission. And number three, we are expanding the list of competences of the administrative areas, trying to improve their efficiency and the mechanisms of planning. We plan a bill to the administrators of the free economic zones may act as the initiators of land planning and urban development programs. This will help us to respond to business requirements and inquiries quicker. Many of you know who have visited Belarus. The next innovational platform in business development is Veliki Kaming, literally the Great Stone. This has become possible thanks to the President of Belarus and the President of China. The zone is expanding, more than 100 residents, new enterprises, innovational, cutting-edge enterprises with high income. It's located near the airport, which means no issues regarding logistics, power supply is available. Now it's at the stage of investment. I think only between 7 and 18%, 7 or 8% of the residents actually switched, transferred to the production stage. But I think the effect has not yet been achieved, which we are expecting. But a lot of enterprises, I would like to highlight, more than 100 enterprises, they are building their premises and are getting ready for production. Regarding our joint work with the Russian Federation, last year we had a meeting of the Ministry of Economy of Belarus and the Ministry of Economy of Russian Federation. We made some summaries of our joint activity and signed a memorandum on cooperation in terms of development and establishment of free economic zones. We will work together, hand in hand. We will align ourselves. We have very tight contacts, personal contacts, and I have a feeling that on any day, we can dial our friends from the Ministry of Economy, the situation is changing so drastically that this kind of contacts, they help to react to the changing situation, both in macroeconomics and in analytics, because the economics of Russia and Belarus are so tightly integrated into each other that the exchange of information and data online allows to find those reference points to be guided by and to move on. Well, I think all of you heard about the area is the high-tech park, which belongs to IT sector. We have more than 1,000 companies, entities there, and in terms of the total volume of economy, it's equal to 7 to 8%. And I think you know that experts from Belarus work all over the world with the projects from various countries. We tightly cooperate with many countries. We develop our products, software, and solutions. Well, I think it's hard to mention a country where there are no experts. I would like to share my personal information. My children are also in IT, and I ask them what I'm working on right now. One of them works in the Central African Republic, and another of my child works in Moscow in some defense and banking industry. Also, let me tell you what the tasks we are setting for future. I analyzed preferential modes of Russia and Belarus. What you have and what we don't have. We have preferential modes in the recreational territories. We don't have it. Russia has it, we don't have it. Where tourism develops, I wanna implement in Belarus together with the Ministry of Sports and Tourism. We are ready to implement it in Belarus. What we work on and what you don't have, we are worried about the development of small regions. There is a drain of people from small towns and cities into big cities. There is urbanism. I think it's true for the whole world. What could we possibly do to make people stay in villages and vicinities? About 10,000 people, 1,000, 15,000. It's been a year that we were working on the concept of regional development. It includes both economy, meaning preferential mode, and another mode is comfortable living of people. Belarus, let me start with the second part. We have social standards, minimal social standards. The state should ensure them. It includes about 600 parameters. You need to set the task to assess it in numerical value. For example, the amount of patients the hospital can accept, the capacity of kindergarten, schools, road paving, communication of public transport, destination, how far the bus stop or railroad station should be, trade outlets, catering, utilities. So we assess the quality of life in small towns and villages using the given parameters. But we understand that it's not enough. We are trying to expand. We are trying to enhance those standards of living. Regarding economy, this means budget allocation further from the capital, which means more preferences, more discounts, and more support measures. Next year, we're going to have a meeting at the President of Belarus office, and we hope the head of the state will support us, and we will have the new legislation next year. Tatiana, thank you very much. To be honest, I have a lot of questions, but I think we will discuss them outside this session as part of the forum. Between Belarus and Bashkortostan, there are a lot of successful cases of business cooperation. For example, the company called Amkador Agidel implements investment projects worth of more than $1 billion. So they are planning to establish more than 250 workplaces. Fyodor, the floor is yours. What is your project aimed at? What is the current implementation stage? Do you have enough preferences and measures of support which are provided by the state as of now?
So I would like to start with to say good day to all the participants of our session. Between the Republic of Belarus and the Republic of Bashkortostan are very tight economic ties. The cooperation of industry and trade is fully implementing. Just on the example of Amkador Agidel, I would like to tell you our statistics, what preferential modes were made, how work were done. So on the 27th of May to 2022, there was a legal act made to established the act to make the plant for storage and processing the seeds. Of course, the topic of food protection and defense is on agenda. In 3 days, we agreed the protocol in St. Petersburg on the international forum. This agreement was made by the Republic of Bashkortostan and the Amkador company. So this document was the main start of the future cooperation. There was built the factory, and it was opened by all technical means, and together with the tight work in a very short time for 9 months, there was made administrative, industrial corpuses with all infrastructure, and we bought all the equipment and supplies. But at the same time, the Ministry of Agriculture increased this real estate for compensation of the expenditures by our customer. We become the resident of the economical zone Algar. We're getting preferences up to 2%. On the territory of this plant, there are a possibility to get the added value tax. So we couldn't make these, reach these results without our cooperation. So if you would like to see by your own eyes, you can come to our plant. So together with the government and the Republic of Bashkortostan and Belarus, we opened this factory. Such projects are very important for both republics. I would like to know that the drying machines, seed machines, are like mini factories, and we are and the implementation of localization up to 100%. By numbers, you can see 80% of localized of Russian and Belarus materials. We have an investor or founder, Krupke city in Belarus. We have this same factory, and we are using their technologies. But of course, we have something else, and together with their experts, we are doing the audit to see our certification and the opportunity to use to see what materials we are producing, and to start to be the competitive companies. So this is the first stage on the competitive products together with the Republic of Bashkortostan. There was done the first stage in this cooperation. We've been producing the land processing machines, tractors, excavators, and other machines. This is absolutely different industry and other competencies, and meaning that technological defense, safety, not for Republic of Belarus, but for Russian Federation as well. We are planning to create up to 250 working places, but in our plans to increase up to 100 working places on already built factory, and even to increase it up to 300. So we had initially 290 workplaces, and we implemented 250, and we're planning to do more than 300. We need to make the state supporting measures to implement the investment projects to aim the independent work of the business. And today today's all measures that were made together with these countries made all the conditions to build and to work very productive cooperation. But we have some problems like logistical problems too, and it would be much better to create economical logistical support, thinking that different parts are located in different areas. And the other fact is to decrease the price for the parts and sell it as for the just initial amount of price. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much, Fyodor Alexandrovich. I suggest to continue to talk about Eurasian Economical Center in Republic of Bashkortostan. As you said, the economical zone Alga is working successfully. There are 5 advanced territories that are working here. Irat Salavatovich, you have a question. How do you plan to develop these modes, and what's the nowadays status of this Eurasian Economical Center and how it is implemented in the Republic? Thank you very much for your question. So these projects, I would like to say about how we reached this. So I would like to show you how our republic looks like from the point of view of economical zones. For the past 4 years, we have more projects. So the total amount of investments, it's 1.2 billion rubles, and the plan is to do is up to 2030. And of course, we couldn't do this without special conditions. As it was mentioned before, we have the full set of the preferences on the federal level. So we have 5 economical zones, 12 techno park and industrial parks. What we faced with when we question about the high-tech production of the goods, we have some limitations in logistics. We cannot cover all the regional competencies to provide new working places. And the current political situation changed our plans, and we reoriented our business, and we are facing the challenges. The next stage of evolution is to create conditions. The projects is to just relying on the current preferences to connect them not to the territories, but from the point of view of the directions of production manufacturing, like increased export numbers that are very strategic for our country. And so we had the factory, for example, that started a month ago. The factory that is manufacturing the landing machinery. So, for example, some parts for this machinery we can get from Samarsky region. From Permsky region we can get another parts. So in terms of this project, we are ready to work with the regions that we can make some economical profit. So I would like to highlight that we should take the principle. So if you have the tools that you can use to your to your project, you can change them to your technologies. So, for example, so if we talk about Eurasian Economical Center, we have what effects? We increase the volume of investments, we decrease the part of the production, we increase the outcome of the production. So all the changes in the world we face let us think widely. So we're trying to think about global trends and attract the partners from Eurasian area. So it means that we can cooperate with the SCO countries, like we started to do it with Kazakhstan already. In addition, yesterday on the committee there was made an agreement to access the exporting products on the international scale, and this is an essential parameter to work in friendly countries. To finish my speech, I would like to say a quote by Socrates. The secret is not to create something new, this vice versa. So the secret is to create something new, but not fighting with something old. So I would like to tell you that new conditions should add something new for us, but not destroy. Thank you very much. As you mentioned, in terms of Eurasian Economic Center, in some regions, they are planning to add the added value tax and to expand export flows. The Scientific and Research Institute of Ministry of Finances created the new projects, and Rykova Inna will tell us about what we can transform for this investment project and how should we relocate these supporting governmental measures.
People say the day after tomorrow, today, but the project started in 2000. And our project started in 2000 and included a number of countries. Back then, we offered to move along the added value chains. Everyone actually despised when we would try to provide the structure of import for every importer. Please pay attention that it is possible to establish it with the help of small business, with a neighboring region. Everyone were quite critical. They were scattered, and they were fighting for themselves. Aidar, I think, will support me here when we requested 5 main projects of export, 5 main projects of import, 5 main products of production. And please open for us what we should import, what is the structure of support of orders, where the markets of sales go. And we hear it's commercial, it's a trade secret. We don't need to know the volumes, just tell us the types of products which you manufacture. And finally, what IRAT shows, what we finally established the final product, and we are adding the components, we see the channels. And this is when we can see the bottleneck, which requires state support, which requires the solution. Thank God, past 3 years we have achieved this, and now we're talking that let's look between the neighboring regions. Today, for example, Bashkortostan I'm trying to convince one of the large clients to come up with the products which will be implemented jointly by several regions. We actually introduced hops. There are no seeds. There are it's available only in Belarus. No equipment, no machinery. The harvester, the Republic of Chuvashia managed to. It took them 25 years to assemble a hops harvester. But it's available in Bashkortostan, but unfortunately, Bashkortostan did not make an application in none of the projects. We have Krasnodar, Altai, Chuvashia, which are trying to grow hops. You can grow it, but if you don't have processing, it's not going to work. So we should come up with international, interregional, and interterritorial. There are measures of support, but we don't know who would like to take up. The Ministry of Finance and Agriculture and Industry and Trade, they are participating, but who will be number one? The one who builds a product gets the market. Regarding preferential modes, we are monitoring the advanced territorial single industry cities, special economic zones, clusters, industrial central parks. Yes, we see the result in some of the territories, including Bashkortostan, included investment and investment climate. But in my opinion, if we want to increase efficiency of preferential tax areas, we should look more carefully at prospective areas, because again, we are investing a lot of resources in infrastructure, education, science, industry. But if business is not included with the initiatives and with some advanced, far-reaching projects, not just measures of support. I heard about logistics, I heard about transportation. We are trying to break them down. We are building hubs and wholesale distribution centers, which were declared 10 years ago. But when we need to go hand in hand with several regions, once we have the Eurasian center, economic center, we need to be more open. In this case, we'll be quicker, we'll be more efficient. Every region faces one and the same problem. Let's unite within the framework of Eurasian Economic Center. Let's look at the perspective, not necessarily preferential, but indeed, let's look what is required, where we can do import substitution, because Far East, they bring fishing nets. They take from South Korea. Brands, the label for mineral water is imported from Europe. Let's do something. Cardboard package comes from South Korea, China, etc. And I can mention just lots of examples of this kind. There is no high tech here. And so what I mean to say, the preferential modes should be more efficient, should be more targeted, because they're not properly the way they should work. Thank you, Ms. Rykova. So probably preferential modes are available not only in Russia for businesses, but only globally. Our colleagues from the Ministry of Trade and Industry are working actively. For example, in Egypt, Suez Channel, Irat, please tell us about the status of the project implemented and what are the perspectives of our cooperation with Egypt. Thank you so much, Marat. Good morning, dear colleagues. First of all, I would like to thank the government of Bashkortostan for inviting me an opportunity to present. Regarding your question of the status, this is the intergovernmental project. It's an international project. The amount of potential residents is growing. We have fulfilled all the requirements. We prepared all the documentation. After the well-known events of 2022, we had to update the agreement and the memorandum was signed and provided to our colleagues into the Arabic Republic of Egypt, and now it is going through the approval by the government, and we are expecting that the Parliament of Egypt will verify and issue. We prepared business plan, master plan, and the project is the readiness status is very high. We are working on cost estimates and design documentation. This is not the only project abroad. In Uzbekistan also, we have two industrial areas, Chirchik and Jizak. Next year, we are planning to new measures of support for the presence of abroad tourist and logistics centers, to expand the infrastructure of ports, and also we are enhancing our warranty support for foreign economic activities through the tool set of our company, which is part of XR group. The level of cooperation inside the Eurasian Union, I would like to talk in more detail about this. Next year, we are celebrating 10 years anniversary since the establishment of the union. All the participants, they admit that it's a highly efficient measure. This year, the union member states, they're completing the year with positive and impressive results. Tatiana, she informed us that Belarus has 3.8% economic growth. Kazakhstan is 4.8%. In Russia, we have 3% of economic growth, and it's a very serious result, regardless of a huge sanction burden. And I want to remind you that there are 16,000 restrictions against Russia and Belarus. And this happened after 2022. 12,000 restrictions were imposed on Russia, and the growth tempo of the countries of the member union are much higher compared to the post-Soviet countries. And the level of foreign investment, as Tatiana said, in Belarus and in other countries, they are much higher than in the rest of the countries of our colleagues and partners. And this has become possible not because of the investment of Russian sources. Dear colleagues, all this has become possible because of our work, but still there are some challenges, settlement of accounts, payments. Yesterday we discussed this, and it was stated as one of the most critical one. There is a lot we need to work on. We establish mechanisms and procedures. We are in talks with the business, and we are trying to provide non-financial, not monetary support measures so that our companies, both Russian and companies from the Eurasian Union, so that they could develop their business. Thank you very much for your attention. Artur, thank you. We have online colleagues from former friendly Republic of Kazakhstan. Nurlan, greetings. Our trade exchange with Kazakhstan is above $28 billion. Russia is the largest importer to Kazakhstan, with 13%. The investment of Kazakhstan to Russia in 2022 were equal to $6.3 billion United States dollars, which is equal to 17% of direct foreign investments of Kazakhstan in foreign countries. Nurlan, what is your experience establishing industrial zones in Kazakhstan? We know that in some spheres it's unique. How do you assess the perspectives of cooperation between Russia and Kazakhstan? And development of our preferential zones.
Good day. Can you hear me properly? Yes, perfectly. Good day, dear participants of the forum. I'm glad to see you on the International Business Week forum. And I would like to notice that unfortunately we couldn't come to you and to communicate offline. But yesterday, our Ministry of Industry visited your forum, and he set a very high organization of that dialogue. So then today, in terms of the forum, I would like to share with you about industrial areas, about the experience of Kazakhstan in this sphere and the prospective cooperation with Russia. There are 14 special economical zones, 35 industrial zones that are represented in all regions. Each economic zone has its industrial specification that allows to focus on special and prospective industries of economy that is developed in this region. So all the economic zones are created for 25 years, and they have a ready industrial site for implementing, and there is a special legal mode. And of course, the government also provides with all the infrastructure in these areas. There are the same rules, measures, and rules that are working around the world, in Russia as well. So the name is a bit different sometimes, but the measures and the rules are the same. At the same time, I would like to highlight my experience. I'm not sure whether you have this experience. This is International Center of Boarding Point. We cooperate in this sphere with China. It's located in the border where our border goes just in the middle, but the big territory of the land is for economic zone and investment zone. So this center is directed for tourism and trade. It consists of two parts. It's China part and Kazakhstan part. So what are the specifics? Is that people can be there, live there, visit there from both parts without visa. So for 30 days without visa, they can move freely. They don't have VAT, duty-free products usage, and they can buy, of course, some products. So up to 1941, they can use the lands of areas. They can also use a free loud plots. And for the production and for the services of some foreign forces or like powers, there are no limitations. There are no limits in number of working places. So in general, this is the situation. So what we're going to have from this? It's going to give us the starting point in starting with a pretty small trade. So this small trade for some everyday life creates this inter-border cooperation. And asking your second questions about perspectives of the joint cooperation with the Russian Federation. So I've listened carefully with the previous speakers, and they told that Russian Federation is actively promoting joint industry parks and zones like in Egypt, in Turkey. You're interested in Turkey, in Uzbekistan as well. And from our part, in terms of the conducted international fair by Ministry of Industry of Kazakhstan, and together with the Ministry and Trade of the Russian Federation, we are planning to create such zones in the territory of Kazakhstan. First of all, we are considering to consider the boarding parts and maybe some remote places, maybe closer to China border as well, and there are maybe close to the south of Kazakhstan, to the border of Uzbekistan. It is so these projects are considering by the Ministry of Trade of the Russian Federation. So we've made another event that together with the heads of the ministries, we discussed the plan to create industrial and, well, interesting economical zones. And I've noticed that we are both interested in this cooperation by creating industrial parks. Furthermore, as per the recommendation from the forum of the last year, we have created the Association of Logistical and Industrial Parks. So we've agreed the memorandum to spread the experience and rights. And I think we're gonna do the same work in this direction. So I would like to say once again that we are interested from our part to do this joint work within different economical zones, and if there are some requirements, we shall consider and discuss about this. Thank you very much. Today we have one more representative from Kazakhstan, from the Association of Interboarding Department. Can you please tell us in more details by technical means, how do you develop these unique interborder zones, economical zones, and do you have the same measures from investors in the area of Kazakhstan and in China, or they have some differences? Good day, dear participants of the International Business Week. First of all, I would like to say thank you to organizers for the possibility to speak about our project. So the International Center of Interborder Argos is a complex of trade, investment, and economical departments together with the tourism. It's located on the borders of the neighboring countries. The project is implemented in terms of Nurjun and this tragedy, and the famous tragedy. So the main area is 560 kilometers. This is total area between China and Kazakhstan. From 2012, the Fargos opened the doors from the guests. Since 2012, it started to be an economical zone, and the area was increased up to 680 square kilometers. So for infrastructure, there were investment more than $150 billion. The aim is to create a unique format of international cooperation in the sphere of economic, tourism, and culture by creating required measures and conditions. So we would like to implement this project to create safety, transportation, and living of tourism. So the legal mode allows for the participants to use the customs preferences, and there are prioritized spheres of activities. Has 4 branches. The first is trade, excluding transport trade. So then it's manufacturing of clothes, food, and etc. So some service, warehouses, storages, insurance, and the fourth is a building construction of the buildings that are meant to work for different kind of activities, companies. We have a 3 period of pandemic period, changed some conditions. There were amendments for the strategy of development. So at the moment, 22 companies are implementing 29 projects that cost $290 million. And as per our head of the government, we have created a food hub, and we are starting to implement new projects. So the whole volume of the capacity of the hub is 1.8 million square kilometers. So in 2023, our head of the government visited one of the cities in China, and he said that our cooperation with China means for us a long-term business and profitable, efficient cooperation. Today, we're seeing the transformation of the project from two platforms in the direction of China. At the moment, we are attracting investors to work with Faragos companies. We will give all the support and measures to implement the project. So regarding your questions, in the part of China, there are the same preferences as we have in Kazakhstan area. And in Kazakhstan area, there are some requirements of Eurasian and Economical Union. For example, the quota of 31 kilogram and so on. So they can, they can ship their products daily and transfer 1,000 euros, yuan per day. So any person can be the participant or resident of this specific zone from absolutely different country. And as Nurlan Maratovich said, there are some tax preferences in different economical zones. We have as well, for example, value-added tax. So we have very increased VAT, 0% loan, and so on and so forth. Thank you very much. We are moving to the next international partner from Uzbekistan. So the increase of product flow was very high, and the income was of $10 billion US dollars. In March this year, you started to be the representative of the Ministry of Trade in the Republic of Uzbekistan. Can you please tell us about your perspective of economical sphere between our countries? Dear colleagues, good day. I'm so glad to see everyone from Tashkent. We are monitoring we are monitoring everything that is happening in the Republic of Bashkortostan, and we're also participating in a very famous International Week, Business Week forum as well. And Russia is the leader of investment incomes up to $13 billion. So between Russia and Uzbekistan, we have a special preferential mode which works more than 10 years. It's a free trade zone. So this mode allows us without duty free to work and trade. So our products from Uzbekistan is pretty competitive as the products in Russia. So I would like to start with my presentation. I understand fully that I'm the 9th speaker, so I will be pretty short. A little bit of numbers. I see that we have experts among our audience. That's why I'm going to talk about 3 points. Uzbekistan actively goes to 40 billion people, and we understand that with the increase of population, the number of products and services are increasing as well, and the GDP number is increasing as well. So as we're taking the first place of the countries who are working on import activity within the neighboring countries. So talking about the trade and logistics. So the currency is on September 22, ruble sum. So we have 80% of the transportation we manufacture in Uzbekistan. So preferably we export from Russia to Uzbekistan, and from Uzbekistan to Russia we import some food, vegetables, textile, and so on. So in this point, I would like to stop in details at the project that is called Agro Express, that allows in the green corridor mode, gives to transport by railway the products.
Starting from July this year, the Russian railroads made a decision to provide discounts for the given fare, 21.4% for the transportations in containers from China to from Uzbekistan to Moscow. Regarding investment, Russia is the leader in terms of investment. It's in #1, including the joint ventures with foreign capital today to minimize the risks and costs for our investors. We use special economic zones and technoparks, industrial parks of Uzbekistan. Today, there are about 22 zones of this type. If you allocate your production in this area, you may enjoy tax discounts, customs discounts, and measures of support. You need to understand that our Uzbekistan partners, they have taken up the experience, global experience in this sense, and they are adapting it in Uzbekistan. I will support my colleague here from the Ministry of Trade, who mentioned two projects which are implemented in Uzbekistan in Chirchik and Jizak towns. Later, my colleague Farid will tell in more detail about the given projects, how they operate here in Uzbekistan. And also, I would like to mention that all those free trade zones, they cover all the important industries, pharmaceuticals, heavy industry, agriculture, tourism. And of course, I would like also to mention that Uzbekistan plans to establish an expert center of strategic initiatives, which will allow to analyze investment climate in more detail, to assess the opportunities to increase industrial cooperation. The order was signed during the visit of delegation of Uzbekistan to Russia. And also, I would like to say that contacts between Russia and Uzbekistan is supported at various levels. I think you know that in October, the president of Uzbekistan visited Moscow, where they started a very important project of trilateral gas union, which allows to export gas directly through Kazakhstan, through Russia to Uzbekistan. And we would like to mention the project of this kind. If they're developing successfully, they're very fruitful. And speaking about Bashkortostan and relations with Uzbekistan, we see Bashkir business here on a regular basis. They come, they participate. There are all the opportunities. There are flights 2 times a week between Uzbekistan and Ufa, and it is very important to support our heartily relations. Also, here there is a branch office, representative office of Bashkortostan. Our colleagues are involved in business activity of the country, and I would like to mention that in 1 month we're expecting a business mission of Bashkortostan entrepreneurs in Uzbekistan, and I think that the colleagues who are interested, they may get online. Well, this is it regarding my investment. Thank you so much. I wish all of you to have a very fruitful event as part of the International Business Week. Ildus, thank you so much. Success to you as well. I would like, please, 2 short comments from the representatives of the Republic of Uzbekistan. A councillor of Hakima-Ferganskaya region in terms of industry, Mr. Fuatov, please, very short comment from you. We need to follow the timing. Good day, dear colleagues. And I think what is done in Uzbekistan, I think in terms of industry development and economic areas, I think it was already covered. But I would like to briefly tell you the industrial area, free industrial area in Kakand, Fergana region. It was established in 2017 by the order of the president. The total area is 700 hectares. 461 hectare is covered by production areas. It's a free economic area. It has all the conditions, the infrastructure, the utilities. We give preferences. They are broken down by categories, and they depend on the amount, between 3 to 10 years, $300,000 and more. We give preferences to that amount. And the more the investment, the longer you can enjoy the preferences. Also, I would like to mention that the discounts and references in the free economic area include land tax 0%, 0%, property tax 0%, tax for water reserves, customs duties for raw materials, components, and equipment, also 0%. Also, Kakand Free Economic Area has customs stations and dedicated customs stations for the clearance of goods. And also, with great pleasure, we would like to see in our zone the representatives of Russian business, Belarus, and other companies and countries. We are very eager to accept you. We will tell you in more detail We will get you to know. I would like to use this opportunity to invite you to Uzbekistan and Fergana in particular. Thank you so much. To continue about industrial parks of Uzbekistan, let's give the floor to Mr. Farid. You have the floor about industrial parks of Chechek and Jizak. Please. Greetings, dear colleagues. I'm happy to greet all of you. I will tell you about us very briefly. You will see my contacts at the end, and the organizers also have them. Please, I kindly invite you to visit our project. The project itself is implemented by two countries, Uzbekistan and Russia. Russia enters with its competences. In this case, we use Himgrad Technopolis, which is located in Kazan, Russia, and they have already 360 residents. Uzbekistan, Russia invests in infrastructure of Uzbekistan, and Uzbekistan provides area. We are developing two industrial parks, one of them in the town of Chirchik, 40 kilometers from Tashkent, the capital of Uzbekistan. And the population of Chirchik is 168,000 people. It's a historically industrial with a lot of Russian-speaking people. There is a good human resource base, and Church here has the largest concentration of industrial enterprises in the times of the Soviet Union. About the second park, these are the main highlights. They are similar. We provide preferences and discounts and supports. It is done by the president, and there is no income tax if your investment is over $1 billion. You don't have to pay a land tax. Here you can see all the list of the discounts. No property tax, no water supply tax, no customs tax, regardless of the amount of investment. And also the Fund of Support of Entrepreneurs provides, compensates part of the loan percentage rate. And the local banks are also here, 5%. And for those countries who export their products, they can enjoy additional 5% discounted annual percentage rate for loans. Also, in terms of lease, our rates are lower than the average market values. It's for industrial, it's $3 per square meter. In Jizak, this is the average market value, but in Jizak, it's 2 times less. In March last year, we opened our Chirchik Technopark. The total area is 29 hangars. The production areas are equal to 133,000 square meters. About 100 are ready, 30 are transferred to our investors. This year, in December, we will commission another 14,000 square meters of industrial premises, and so this will be commissioned. This is what the industrial park looks like. I would like to thank our colleagues from the design office of Uzbekistan. It's round the clock, it's around the year, and we are moving with a quick pace, completing the facilities. It's on the way from Tashkent to Samarkand. And Jizak area is actively developing. These are the specifications of Jizak Industrial Park. In October, we made a decision to establish a car building factory of 30,000 cars annually. We are revamping the existing industrial facility, preparing the infrastructure for small and mid-scale companies. Here, the main is Jizak Plastics, which has been operating since 1972. It survived since Soviet times, but we are revamping it. And unfortunately, some of the companies which could not exist in the market, who couldn't withstand competition, they left. So here you can see the renders. This is what it's going to look like. The advantages are location, as I said, on one of the backbone roads between the large cities of Uzbekistan. And should you have any questions, I can tell in more detail. In April 2023, there was the opening ceremony of Jizak Industrial Park, so it's ready to receive its first residents. Thank you very much. I think I'm within the timing. Radik, thank you. Yes, indeed. Let's continue. Today we heard about various practices and experiences of developing special economic zones. Evgeny, the floor, a question to you. The Association of Technoparks and Technological Clusters, you have been working in this sphere for quite in many years. Two questions to you. In your opinion, are you looking at establishing transborderal economic zones with China or Kazakhstan? I heard at a certain point that in Blagoveshchensk they were planning to open a zone, an area of this kind. How do you assess the perspectives of development of special economic zones and other establishments and infrastructure for investors? Where are we heading to? What are the barriers we need to remove? Thank you so much for the question.
So answering your first question, so indeed, so these are economical zones, specific economical zones we are created together with other countries. And there are the same projects in the territory of Republic of Altai. And in total, it's a very prospective directions. And to answer the second question, I would just show you in my presentation, and I will just tell you all my offers as per the development of preferential modes in the territory of Eurasian economic zone. To start with, just very shortly about the specific economic zones. In our Russian Federation, we have 50 economical zones in 44 subjects of areas. So we have different portal, recreational, economical, industrial, and in perspective, there was announced additional about 40 recreational zones in the future. Just next slide, please. Unfortunately, the clicker is not working. All right, that's great. So the tax preferences generally are in other countries pretty the same. I'm not going to surprise you. There are decrease the land tax, transport tax, and the VAT. And there's a VAT with the free custom zones. So these are examples of successful economical zones, which is located in Moscow region, as we are located in the Republic of Bashkortostan. This is one of the busiest and richest industrial zones, Alga company. Except of the Russian Federation, there are some preferential modes areas in the Republic of Belarus. There are 6 in Armenia. There are 4 in Kyrgyzstan Republic, 5. And these are the numbers that our analytics counted, that in the countries of Eurasian territory, there are more than 2,000 residents, and the investments are more than 250 billion rubles and more than 1,000 working places. So the number of the created economical zones, this is a very great factor for the future development. You see that we are creating a lot of preferential zones, and in these competitive conditions, we need to provide very interesting conditions in the territory of the preferential zones in Eurasian territory. And in the first plan, we have the special zones that require to the global calls. And so imperative of sustainable development, the Industrial Revolution 4.0, and the change of chains of the rates. So these are the factors of success of functional success of infrastructures. So we have all these preferences in all zones. There is a legal database. There is a developed industrial infrastructure. It is professional teams. And these are the drivers of the development of these economical zones in other countries, and of course the assessment of the result analysis, to understand the orientation for the future, the work of these economical zones. So the work about the clusters, together with the we've implemented 2 projects in the Republic of Uzbekistan and the Republic of Armenia. We have some certain experience and technologies for them. So when we came to the Republic of Tajikistan, we've been shown these special economical zones. We were told the preferences, and we've heard everything. And what is interesting, there is no resident, almost 0 residents in these economical zones, just because there were no infrastructure. So then it doesn't matter what are the tax preferences if there are no points to electricity, to the water supply. That's why we've prepared some offers on development such economical zones in Armenia and Tajikistan. And there is one more offer, is to create, together with the International Association, the special zones where should be included preferential zones from ex-Soviet countries, Asian countries. I think that this association that we are planning to create next year will attract additional investments, the creation of joint cooperations in the territory of preferential zones in the Eurasian countries, and this association will help to develop the knowledge base for the leading teams of the companies of these economical zones in different countries. Actually, that's it with my speech. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much. So to sum it up, I would like to the Vice President of the Scientific Institute. Thank you very much. This is an honor to sum it up today's session, having representatives from the ministries and people who are dealing with this actively. So the aim of our meeting here is to create the tools and to able to implement them, to find the conditions to implement the businesses between our countries, between the international countries. I should say that one of the aspects we've missed out of our discussion, I will be very short. So it was mentioned that the fundamental reasons that start these processes, we think, is a turbulence or changes, global changes in politics and economy. So the second factor, fundamental factor, is the stopping the process of globalization. So for the people who are doing this professionally, it's pretty obvious. So the process of interregional or regional development, as we heard today from the speakers, we need to pay special attention. And then number 4, the third reason, these are global and political challenges. And there is one more reason that created this crisis mechanisms. This is the lack of our attention to the science, to the scientific development. When we talk about all these things, we talk about business and business. This is absolutely right. But if we will look at one direction, we will lose something. So if we don't develop this science, we will not implement all these, in a big scale projects, and especially when we talk about the future, the day after tomorrow projects. We should rely on our own experience. We should not go to somewhere else to see someone else's experience. If we would like to create something the day after tomorrow, we have to remember what we had yesterday. With my colleague, we've created, 25 years ago, we've created the scientific projects, and the science actually helped our region to be at the point that we are now. And I think that using this sphere, we will be on the top of business and cooperation list. We should not forget about the previous experience, and we speak about the scientific and technological experience. We need to build the cooperation with science. We have to solve 4 problems. The first one, so this 1% of the GDP is very low. We need to think about more lumber. So the federal order number 84, we should think about to remove this, to delete it. Number 3, try to order, give the task, the work for new technologies, for new advices, for our own institutions. And 10 years ago in the government, I was working in the government, and we were working out the order about the science, about scientific and technical policy. Where is that order? There is no that order, act or order. And actually, what should I say? We don't have the required, legal acts and orders and foundation to implement that successful things. So I would like to pay attention to these, and it's not really good to miss these questions. So please take it into account. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alexander Nikolaevich. I should say feedback for you. So as per the level of the governmental expenditures, we can compare to the USA, Singapore, and if we look at the scientific expenditures, we are like the Southern African country. And the rate for scientific and technology VGDP rate is pretty low. That's absolutely right. My dear friends, thank you very much for the discussion. I think that we will be in the Genius book for the number of speakers, and I would like to discuss everything that we couldn't discuss at this platform. Thank you very much.